Another topic that I wanted to talk to you guys about, I think it's a good time to segue into this, is buying retired stars and grading at PSA is back, I believe. I'm interested to your guys' take on this, but to me, with the $30 value opening again, and I want to clarify actually something, because I think 2 weeks on the show, 2 weeks ago on the show, I said that when the value opened, that the clock wouldn't start until they got through the backlog. And then I actually put that out in a tweet, and PSA tweeted back or PSA DM'd me and said, could you please clarify this? Actually, the clock starts as soon as we mark your package as arrived in our system. So the 120-day clock actually does start now. And so I did go ahead and submit at the $30 level some cards, and the clock's already started. So to me, now that PSA value is back, if you're out at shows, like Kendall just went to a show, Paul before the episode started live mentioned to me the Toronto show. I'm curious to your guys' thoughts around what I believe is a good strategy right now for the summer. Going to shows, going to shops, maybe trying to see cards that could be gradable, that could grade well, seeing them in person, buying them raw if it's a deal, if you can get it for a discount, or maybe buy them in bulk, buying lots. Does it make sense to buy lots or cards in bulk? That now that this PSA value level is open again, is that something you guys are looking at?
I think here for us, like I've been reading a lot that there is like this massive glut of hockey cards sitting in Canada that are in shops or, collections that are all ungraded. I think there's definitely some sort of strategy in the hockey market to go out and buy lots, go visit your local card store. And, if you have a keen eye for being able to see stuff that could potentially grade well with PSA, or even if you want a quick turnaround with HGC to potentially be able to, if you're worried about the backlog at PSA, I mean, PSA is always going to be the strongest return based off the brand value of PSA. I would say definitely here in Canada, there's a hockey play for sure that could be done there.
That's awesome. And even in Kendall, before you go here, I just want to bring up kind of specifically, a lot of people went out and were really after the Jordan 86 Fleer, and almost to the point where it kind of became a little bit overpumped in the market the last 2 years. And so the value, I think, came down of that card quite a bit. But even a card like that, now there's so many fakes. That's the problem, is there's so many fakes and reprints and stuff. So I think you have to be careful, but I'm just sort of noticing the difference in pricing between the legends, the retired stars, raw, and the PSA 8s, 9s, and 10s. They're now back to where you can even get a profit. Like, you wouldn't get a profit off an 8, but you would, if you feel like it's going to be somewhere between an 8 and a 10. I feel like there's a lot of plays for legends and retired stars to go out and get. And who cares about the 121-day turnaround? Like, you can wait 3 or 4 months because the guy's retired, so it doesn't really matter. And that's kind of what I like about it. Whereas SGC, I don't know that I would go SGC anymore, just strictly because the quicker turnaround time doesn't matter with the particular play I'm talking about. And then with the PSA slab that it's going to increase the value. I think you could, with the Jordans though, I know in some of the others, I know you're going to risk maybe some fakes and stuff, but if you can figure out a way, I know there's some authentication services that are sometimes at shows. The name of them is escaping me right now, but I know there's a company, I think out of Texas, Kendall, that is authenticating cards at the Dallas card show, for example. Yep. And then, and I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks. So like, why wouldn't you,
it's a cool company too.
Try to do cool that, stuff. Right? Yeah. So, but yeah, Paul, that's interesting on the hockey card stuff too. I could see definitely time for some hidden gems on that. If any of the audience wants to have some fun or is having some fun thinking about doing that, we'd love to hear from you on it. So, Kendall, what do you think about this topic in terms of, is it something that you're hesitant to do for any reason, or is it something that you think that people can generally feel good about, a strategy of, say, picking a retired star or even GOAT and trying to go raw and grade at PSA? What do you think?
My biggest fear is a fake. It's really popular in old cards. Also, trimming is really popular in old cards, and I honestly have no idea how to find that out with my naked eye, and so like it's even harder to find that through eBay or something like that. Like I mean, you don't even know if it's the original picture. Like which speaks to the fungibility of it, like which I don't know. I'm really nervous about this. As I think I'm dipping my toes there personally. Um, I'm still really, really concerned with the amount of fakes or deep fakes. Like people legitimately think it's an 86 Fleer, and even other grading companies think it's an 86 Fleer, and then you send it over to Crossover and you find out it's not. Like, oh, oof, like I know HGA got in some issues early on because they were grading some fakes, and they were grading them as legits. And then like people spent, six figures on some Fleer cards that were fake, I guess, or altered or I just that whole thing makes me it makes my hands sweat, like just I'm getting anxious just thinking about it, and I would have to know somehow if it was authenticated. So I would need that Dallas Buyers Club or Dallas whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I think it's DSI or whatever it is. I know which company you're talking about. I just don't have the name off the top of my head. But like I would pay 20 extra bucks in some sort of finding fee of saying like, hey, I'm interested in buying your card, but I would need to send it to a authenticator first.
Yeah, like I would pay like 15 to 20% of the card to the dealer at the show just to be able to take it over to the table and have it authenticated or something, and then something like that. But
no
the other thing,
I mean, they're gonna think you're disrespecting them too. It's just like, no, it's nothing on you. Like you might have bought a fraudulent card and not realized it, which honestly, then they're gonna get even more upset that you're saying like it's a really sticky subject.
But you know what I think the more likely situation is, and this is, I mean, this comes with risk as well, but I think the more likely situation in this is to buy someone's old collection through like Facebook Marketplace or something like that. Where, and I'm not telling everybody to go out and do that, but I did have a couple positive experiences last year with people on Facebook Marketplace. So, for example, listing an entire set of 1987 Fleer basketball, listing an entire set of 1988 Fleer basketball, and being able to kind of get them down to a price that made sense, to where knowing that, okay, the Jordans, and then in the 88 set, you've got the Pippen and the Stockton and the Reggie Miller rookies. And so I just think like some of those plays are back for basketball. Sounds like Paul with hockey, maybe they are as well, where if you go and if you're buying someone's entire collection or a lot from someone, to me, that's less, the risk is more in the condition of the card, and it's less in the authenticity of the card, I think, at that point.